This is sort of a guide to starting Lab 7. Lab 7 will implement a new data type called a fraction. You could also think of it as a rational number. It's a ratio of whole numbers, a numerator and a denominator. So it's going to have the functionality to store a fraction in those terms, numerator, denominator, and it's going to allow you to do that always. It's going to make sure it's always in reduced form. So in other words, if you create a fraction and specify 2 for the denominator, let me write this out. If you specify this fraction, 2/4, numerator, right, denominator, it will actually store it as 1/2. So it will automatically do that. You're the one who's going to make that happen, though, by designing the class. So what is this, again, what does this do? It'll store, it'll create fractions and allow you to do math with them. So the thing about your computer right now when you're working with numbers, to do a fractional thing, instead of 1/2 you do 0.5, right? 1/3, what's that? It's 0.3 repeating, which you can't accurately you can't precisely store that perfectly in a computer in that way. But you can create your own fraction class that will do the math correctly. So, in other words, again, 1/3, right? If you actually do the division of that and create it, convert it to floating point, it's 0.3 repeating. Write that out. 0.33, however many 3's you want. A line repeating forever, right? What we're going to do is build a new data type that will actually just do fraction math. Now, the only thing that looks a little different is that when you print out a fraction in this version, it's going to have a / like that. They're not going to be one over each other, but that's really the only difference visually. Every other way, they'll be the same. All right, so just an example, if you have a fraction in your code and you want to add, say it's 1/2, and you want to multiply 3/4 by 1/2. What do you get? Well, the algorithm is the numerators multiplied together, which gets you 3. 1 times 3, and then 2 times 4 is 8. That's actually already reduced, so your answer when you printed it out using your new class it would look like that. Alright, let's erase all this and actually just go back. Well, I'll show you how to what you need to do to get started. So, go to your assignments, go to Lab 7, and I'll say also, if you're watching this and skipped all the other stuff, you need to go back and look at it, because I give you lots of hints about how to do this lab, but using the point class that we talk about instead of the fraction class. So there's a lot of hints that will tell you how, if you have questions about how am I supposed to do this, go back and look at those lectures, because I give you lots of hints on purpose about how to do this. Okay, first thing you do is Unified Modeling Language, UML diagram of your class. Watch the video here. It's a very easy video. When he starts talking about inheritance, that's an advanced concept. You don't have to talk about. You don't have to understand it now. So you can kind of tune out after that. But watch that video. He'll tell you exactly what it needs to look like. These are the parts it's going to have: a numerator, a denominator. Those should be your fields. Those should be your only fields, your only instance variables. You'll have a couple constructors. That should be in here too, actually. Some ways to add fractions together and do some other math with them. The basic arithmetic. You need to override toString. You go back and look at the points, how to override that. Same thing here. And a way to sort and reduce form. So every fraction object, as soon as you create it, it'll be reduced automatically. But like I say here, recommend doing that functionality last, because you don't really need it to do the math. It's just a way to make things look pretty. That should be your cherry on top at the end. So leave the reduce function till last. And if you want a hint about how to do that, it's in the point video. Look, I call it reduce there too. Look and see how I'm doing that. The only thing that's different is the algorithm and the things involved. All right. So when you create a instance of a fraction class, you can specify the numerator and denominator. This is the construction stuff. This is the toArg constructor. Or you can create a function with a default value of 0, which is, in this case, The numerator will be 0 and the denominator can be 1. It can't be 0, right? That's undefined in math. So once you've got this diagram done and you're confident that's correct, then create your class from it. And this thing, I've already done this for you. So if you download the zip, this is what you'll get. What you'll have is Fraction Test, which is a program that creates fractions. In this case, it creates 2, 7/12 and 1/4. This is what it looks like when you create a fraction with specific values. I call them left and right because you're going to be adding and subtracting. In other words, it's a left operand and a right operand. Also create this variable. Notice this, I'm not creating an object, I'm creating a variable that can hold an object of fraction type. I'll call it answer. Why? Because the answer goes there. Maybe, it depends. Did I actually ever use it? Yeah, I use it one time at least. So, alright, so these print statements will work now, but they won't work correctly. So you see here how I create a new fraction that's 20, 100. That's saying 20 100ths or 28 12ths here. So first you'll see that when I create those, it should, when you're done and you do the cherry on top, the reduce, it should actually show 1/5 and 7/3. It should never show 28 12ths or 20 100ths. So yeah, the rest of this, fraction 1 left. Oh yeah, so this one should be 7/12, 1/4. And then you're going to do some math. So you're going to add these two together, you should get 5/6. So how do you add? Left fraction dot add right fraction. You have to write the code for this. Again, go back and look at the videos for point to see how to do this. And the same for the rest of the math. You need to review how fractions work. And I'll give you a hint. You don't have to worry about finding the least common denominator and all that. Just do it the easiest way possible and then use reduce to do the reduction for you again after you've got everything else working. So I'm going to cut it right here so we have at least 2 parts, and pull up the next video to see more about what's going on.